The pregnancy was perfectly healthy. There were no signs that anything was wrong. We were thrilled to find out that we were going to have twins. That was a surprise. We were trying for a long time to get pregnant. I took really good care of myself. I ate all the right foods. I took prenatal vitamins. I went to all the doctor's appointments. I exercised moderately. I felt really healthy. So I just leaned over to David and I said, I think I might be having contractions. And so we took out my cell phone and we called the after hours OBGYN phone number, and the woman, the doctor on call who called us back, said, since it's twins, you should probably go to the hospital and get checked out. I was still having these contractions. I guess at that point we'd figured out that it was contractions, and a resident who came to examine me, she was a doctor, and she examined me, and when she got up from behind the white sheet that they were using to cover me, she looked like a ghost. She looked horrified. Your babies are either coming tonight or they're coming very soon. This is serious. At that point, I was 24 weeks pregnant, which is about 5.5 months pregnant. Definitely too early for a baby to be born. And probably the most poignant time being in the hospital was the first night we were admitted. The resident came in. She was at the end of a 36-hour shift, and she had this sheet of paper with her, and she wanted to show us what the survival statistics were for babies who were born at our hospital over the last several years. They'd been keeping statistics. And she showed us this graph, and what it looked like was flat for a while, and then a big rise, and then high and steady. And she said, you guys are right here at the bottom. You're 23 weeks right now. And if those babies can stay inside you for just a little bit longer, the odds are going to get much better. So every day counts.
In terms of prepping Susan, I remember just the very physical nature of how quickly they went in with the incision, and it wasn't a gentle procedure, and they had to pull Zoe from who had started to go down the birth canal. They had to pull her out, and through that she became bruised. Her head was bruised from going down the birth canal, and her torso and chest were all bruised from having to just grab her and pull her out. And this all happened, from the incision to when Zoe was first pulled out. It seemed like it was, I think, less than 2 minutes. Probably less than a minute. I know her sister came out 1 minute after, and both were able to grab my pinky at that point in time. And I just that's when the reality of how small they were set in, because their hands, their fingers couldn't get all the way around my finger.
But what they wanted to let us know is that alive doesn't mean healthy. So she told us, if your babies survive, then there's a 1/3 chance that they'll end up healthy, a 1/3 chance that they'll end up with moderate disabilities, and a 1/3 chance that they'll end up with severe disabilities like blindness, deafness, or cerebral palsy. That's a drug that was developed by research dollars that were raised through the March of Dimes. And last year I got to meet the doctor who developed that drug through a research program funded by the March of Dimes. And it was one of my greatest joys in life to meet him, because I know that without that drug, my children wouldn't be alive. Their lungs would not have survived. They were born this tiny, weighing 1 pound 6 ounces and 1 pound 7 ounces. And because it worked so well, when Alexis was just a week old, she actually extubated herself. She pulled out her breathing tube and breathed on her own from then on, because the surfactant had developed her lungs in advance.
So we now have 3 daughters. Zoe and Alexis are in 1st grade. Our youngest is 3 years old. And the same as the time in the NICU, they are incredibly strong-willed. They're vibrant, they're full of life, and they're amazingly healthy. They're perfect.
Zoe, what do you remember from when you were in the hospital when you were a little baby? Alexis, what do you remember from when you were in the hospital when you were a little baby?
I remember nothing else.
I support the March of Dimes because I am so grateful that there are people doing research that allows premature babies to get the medical attention they need. And we're just so very lucky that the quality of medical care exists today because of the research over decades that's been funded by the March of Dimes.